So I told you this is like a seesaw, so we push that concrete weight on, the bridge pops open. Absolute disaster from a traffic perspective when this happens. It takes about 20 minutes to get a bridge open, the boat's through and the bridge closed and secured again. Well, this is our port. We open and close these bridges all the time. Now we do it on a schedule. Wednesdays and Saturdays in the fall, in the spring rather, to let boats out into our harbors. Wednesdays and weekends in the fall to bring them back in for winter storage. You might have seen them open this morning if you were downtown. Today was a bridge lift day. We're traveling on fresh water. The surface of the river and the lake freezes in the wintertime, so you want to get your boat out of the water. Salt water freezes at a much lower temperature than does fresh water. Fresh water freezes at freezing. As you come out by the bridge, I want to keep your attention on the left side of the boat here. And if we look down low as we come out by the bridge, you'll see a double-decker roadway. This is called Wacker Drive, and it curves off to the left. The main stem of the Chicago River that we're on right now is about 1.25 miles long, about 2 kilometers. It's amazingly straight, except for right here it does this S-curve. If we follow the curve off to the left and down to the end, you'll see another tan-colored neoclassic building with another huge temple on the top and a domed roof on top of that. Now I want to take your attention to the right side of the boat. Just starting to come into our view in the next block is the edge of a black painted steel and glass rectangular building from 1971, now known as AMA Plaza, by Ludwig Mies van der Rohe, the father of modernism. This is mid-century modernism. We were doing in Chicago in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, these black painted steel and glass boxes, no applied decoration on the outside. In fact, the steel is painted black on purpose because it's the least decorative color. A modernist thought the beauty in a building was not in the decoration, but rather in the structure. And unfortunately, we cannot see on this building what the modernist is trying to show us. We come off under the bridge, and we look at this building from the other side. We're too low down here on river level to see the first floor because this building is pushed up on a pedestal. The first floor is enshrouded in glass and recessed. So if you were up there, you could see columns on the outside and then columns throughout the building. The structure, that was the beauty of a building to a modernist. And we can't see that here, but we will see other modern buildings a little bit later in the cruise where we will be able to see that. We got a negative reaction to this style here on the right. In the 1980s and 90s, a period we now call postmodernism, and our first postmodern building coming up ahead on the left in the next block, the taller of the two buildings, the gray building, is the Leo Burnett building by Roche Dinklu. Kevin Roche, the lead designer, was a Pritzker Prize-winning architect. The Pritzker Prize is sort of like the Nobel Prize for architecture. But what makes this building postmodern? Well, first of all, it has color. Now, albeit it is gray and not black. But you look there and you can see that there are varying shades of gray granite on the facade. It's also not completely regular across the facade, like the modern building was. We come out from under the bridge, the first thing we'll be able to see is the base of that gray building on the left. And we'll be able to see that there's a colonnade there at the base. Very different than the modern building we just looked at. When you can see the top again, you'll see there's another colonnade there. And when the building comes into your view about a third of the way up the facade, you'll see the windows bump out and look different. That lines up perfectly with the 55 building across the street. And so what that tells us is Kevin Roche had to have stood out here and thought, how am I going to get my building to fit in with a street wall? And that's a postmodern thing to do, to fit in with what's around you. A modernist would give you a black rectangle and you could stick it wherever you wanted to. Bring your eyes down to river level here on the left. You can see our river walk. These 6 blocks we're coming into now. cable systems. They didn't start building until the 1970s. And they started down the Michigan Avenue and down by our dock. And they started building their way from Michigan Avenue out toward Lakeshore Drive. And they built about halfway out. Major retailer like Marshall Field in a big city like Chicago, who had a wholesale division. Obviously, Marshall Field is long gone now, but this building is still about half filled with wholesale furniture companies, but the other half is filled with tech companies. We've had a lot of tech companies start in Chicago in the suburbs where rents were cheap. Most of the people working in those tech companies are young. Most young people live downtown. They've been reverse commuting. Our reverse commute's even worse than our regular commute. So they've been demanding that their companies move downtown, and so a lot of tech companies moved into this building. Once it rewired itself to be up to 21st century technology. A lot of tech companies in here, Motorola, most